Hello and welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the Cows DA42. My God, have I had a joy of trying to get this thing set up. Dear me. Right, anyway, like I said, you join me on, once again, the DA42. And I think this is rapidly turning out to be the flagship aircraft for us here on the channel. Absolutely loving this flight, or loving this aircraft. We've done quite a few videos. If this is your first video that you've captured of me flying the DA42, well, there is a series we're doing, and it starts off with what's in the box, an upgrade video, you know, I think an update video even that Cows released. We did a video on the update. We've also done some short flying, but we're now doing our first point-to-point flight, all being well. We are going to leave here at RAF Waddington, and we are going to be flying a little short hop up to Humberside Airport, which is, well, it's not a million miles away. We're doing this flight offline quite a bit, getting used to the autopilot controls and the flight controls of the DA42. We are currently sat just off the taxiway here at Waddington. We will be departing runway 20, and we'll be flying up to Humberside into hopefully runway 21. Don't know why my TrackIR decided to turn off then. Yes, we're going to go into a few things in the video once we get into the flight. I don't know whether I'm going to put the whole entire flight into this video, just on the video length side of it, so I might, you know, obviously capture the takeoff and the climb out over here out of Waddington, and then when we get up to our altitude I may, you know, pause the video there, and then we'll rejoin on the sort of on the approach as we go over the Humber. The flight today will be taking us out of Waddington over Lincoln, heading towards the east coast. We'll fly along the east coast, heading north, up the Humber, and then fly, intersecting one of the waypoints that we will use to fly into runway 21 at Humberside. Weather is pretty good actually. Obviously we fly VFR, so we're going to have plenty of chance to see the ground, VFR rules. So we will be honky-dory. So you join me currently, like I say, we're sat on the taxiway. Our systems have all ran up. Temperatures on the gearbox are in the green. Coolant is correct as well. That's when we can do our engine run-up test. So we shall get ready for that. So just checking over. Everything is ready to go. Yes, we're ready. So we shall do a run-up. That is the run-up in the DA42, a very simple system, a little bit different than normal aircraft, shall we say. So I just want to make sure that I completely forgot about setting the altimeter. So let's set for 5,000, I think will be adequate. So clear on the left side, clear on the right side, let's roll. Lights are on. Fuel pumps coming on for takeoff. Flaps will be up on the takeoff. We don't need flaps here at Waddington. Plenty along the runway. So before we enter the runway, obviously we'll be talking to air traffic. As always, we do not have air traffic on Flight Simulator. Not till Beyond ATC comes out. So we'll just hold short here and we'll do the final part of our checks. So fuel pumps are on. Pitot heaters on, not that we really need it. Fuel set, tanks are set. Route we're not going to put in just yet. If I should pull the map out all the way, like I say, we'll be flying out east, heading over to the east coast, and we're flying up the Humber estuary into Echo Golf November Juliet. Like I say, runway 21. We're not going to file a flight route. Like I say, we do this route now quite a lot. Anyway, so like I say, flaps are up, flaps are not needed. We will be rotating around 75 to 80 knots. Engine emergency process will be if we have a left or right engine, we shall assess if we've got enough runway to put ourselves back down. Runway at Waddington is very long, so we should be airborne very quickly, and we'll have plenty of runway to get ourselves back on the ground. If everything goes right, if we have if we have both engines coming out, shutting down again, we shall be able to put ourselves back down again. Undercarriage will already be down. If we have any issues on the takeoff after gear has been retracted, we shall look to come back in, back into runway on the opposite runway. Air traffic will obviously be clear because, well, there isn't any. Other than that, gear will be retracted and we'll be making a right-hand turn to head back easterly towards the east coast. Gaining altitude, we'll be flying out to 5,000 feet, and we shall assess. I can't see what the cloud's altitude is, whether 5,000 feet will be enough to keep us under the clouds as we head out to our destination. So yes, we are set. Takeoff trims are set. Fuel is set. Flaps not needed. Prop ice is on, not prop ice even, pitot heat is on, transponder is set to reporting altitude. If I can click on it please, thank you very much. We're reporting VFR, which is 7,000. CDI is set up for GPS, however we're not going to be using that. Put that back onto engine. Caution is flashing, that's because of the stall. Part of the pitot system. The pitot system on the DA42, even though we have got pitot heat selected, the stall heat does not come on until a certain speed. So, because we're doing nothing, we get a warning. That will go away. I know what's going on. Parking brake set, last of the checks done, flaps are up, fuel pumps are on, pitot heat is on, trim set, last of the control checks. Can't see the other part, we'll assume it's working. But it's working, coming up parking brake setting on the wheel brake. Okay, let's go. There's 70, change. We're set for 124 knots on the climb, up to 5,000 feet. Hands off stick, and let the aircraft fly itself. Landing lights coming off. Fuel pumps coming off. Head out to the east coast and we're going to fly up the coast a bit. So one thing I have been working on is my climbs and descents here with the DA42 and using it by the autopilot. I was using the vertical speed button here, which is what I normally was pressing for gaining altitude and losing altitude. Turns out you actually press flight level change or it's commonly pressed flight level change for increasing your altitude and vertical speed for decreasing your altitude. So we're heading for 5,000 feet and we're on flight level change, and basically what this does is it allows you to set a speed that you want to gain or lose your altitude. So I have set for 124 knots and we are holding at 124 knots, and the aircraft is flying quite happily between 500 and 750 feet a minute increase as we head up for 5,000 feet, passing 3,000 feet right now. I am absolutely loving, this aircraft. It's absolutely fantastic. But I suppose while I'm sat up here, I'll actually start talking. I had so many problems setting up OBS to actually record this, and it's basically because I have a new piece of equipment with me. I have the real sim gear G1000, half of the G1000 setup. What you see before you in the aircraft here is the full G1000 setup, so you have two screens and a centre audio panel. I have currently this screen here, the MFD, set up on my desk. Now basically in computer terms it is a second screen, second monitor, and I just obviously pop out the screen here and put it onto the actual G1000 unit, and I've got all the buttons and I can operate G1000 exactly like the real thing with the actual buttons, instead of actually putting my mouse on there and starting to obviously change stuff. And the simulator, OBS even, was getting a little bit confused. It actually thought that the real sim gear screen was my main screen of which my flight simulator was on. And I suppose technically it is, it's got the flight simulator, it's got a portion of the flight simulator on there, but it wasn't quite what I was expecting. I wanted to come in here and start doing a video, and it wasn't going to happen. So we're just past 4,000 feet, heading 5,000, so 1,000 feet left to go. Looks like we'll be underneath the clouds for this. So yeah, I've done quite a few flights now with the G1000, the real sim gear G1000, and it is awesome. I'm learning so many things about how the G1000 system works. I can set it up to obviously be my PFD, which is this screen here, but I don't do a lot of interaction with this. I do an interaction regarding the CDI key and the transponder, obviously if I'm swapping codes around, but because I'm not flying with ATC and therefore needing to swap frequencies over, I don't actually use it a lot, so I might as well use it set up for the MFD and use the map, which is what I do use. And I do use this to pay attention to various settings. If you actually look, if I zoom this in a bit, turn off TrackIR for a bit. So, for instance here, the engine settings, I've got the fuel quantities very important, and we've got the temperatures for the oil, the pressure, coolant temperature and the fuel temperature, but I can also switch this over to show me the system, which gives me my temperatures regarding the gearbox, my electrical capacity and what the aircraft is actually generating, plus as well what load the aircraft is using, and also the RPM. De-ice looks a little bit on the low side, might have to change that sometime. If we click the lean button, this shows me my fuel and my estimated ranges and endurance and all that kind of stuff. As you can see, I only noticed this on my last flight. Here is an actual timer as to how long I've been flying the aircraft. So at the moment I'm running at 6.9 hours of flying time here in the DA42, which I think is quite fascinating. If I want to set a new course, at the moment we're sitting on heading mode. Remember when I did a video beforehand explaining the navigation, or the differences between navigation and heading? Just want to bring the throttle back, we've reached 5,000 feet now. At the moment we're in heading mode, so I haven't set a route, the aircraft's just following a heading. And what I've set as a rough heading point in my mind is Echo Golf 0 Echo. Which should be, yeah, we're heading straight forward. Will be now. Now what we're going to do is we are going to intersect this little airport, put ourselves out over the east coast, fly up the estuary, the Humber estuary, and we will start to get close to the waypoints used to get into runway 21 at Humberside International Airport, which is Echo Golf November Juliet. So as you can see, these line of waypoints here are the ones that are used to get us into. So basically we intersect, I do believe it's Largo as I call it, and then fly up, and then we'll fly down into runway 21, or landing at runway 21 I should say. But it's fantastic because I can actually do all this via an actual device. It's so much easier. It is a fantastic piece of equipment as far as I'm concerned. Like, really worth the money. Now as well, this is the first video I'm actually using a little program called Auto FPS. You may have heard of this. It's been doing the rounds on YouTube now quite a bit. We're into, I think, the third or fourth version now of the software. Now Auto FPS is a fantastic piece of software that, well, it auto changes your FPS for your requirements that you're using. Obviously the Flight Simulator is a very resource heavy hog of an application, and there's things that you need and things that you don't need at certain altitudes of your flying. So I've set the Auto FPS to hold, I do believe it's holding 57 FPS, I think it is, and it will smooth out the flight. There'll be very few stutters, well that's the theory anyway, and it changes some of the graphical requirements around the T-LOD and other levels that changes as you gain altitude, so it eases off on the graphical stuff. Nothing to the point where you look at it and go, oh, it's making this Flight Simulator look terrible, but it just kind of smooths out your flight sim experience and gets rid of some of the issues that you have. And I've tried it now, like I said, on the third version of it, and so far it's been fantastic. It's the first time I've actually used it in a video. So if you're interested in that, yes, Auto FPS, million videos on YouTube. I may do a video on it, I'm not sure yet. I don't know my way too much around it, but it's running in the background as well at the moment. So as we head off towards Echo Golf 0 Echo, I will probably cut the video here, and we shall rejoin as we approach any of the waypoints here as we fly into as we start our approach into Humberside Airport. So I will see you guys in a few minutes. Hello and welcome back. You currently see the Humber estuary in front of you, and we are heading towards roughly waypoint Largo, and we'll start heading towards the waypoints to turn ourselves back round for runway 21 here at Humberside. Humberside Airport being somewhere over there. I thought I'd brought you back, have a little chat about what I see for the future of this series, little mini-series of DA42 content. You may notice that I fly one DA42. It's the same DA42. It's part of the flight simulator training. I do believe Orbit's called it pack of repaints, and it's the particular DA42 Golf Lima Delta Golf Foxtrot, which belongs to Leading Edge Aviation. Now, Leading Edge Aviation are nothing to do with this channel at all, but I've just latched onto this repaint mainly because it's the only repaint that actually comes with the pack that is based in the UK. And this particular aircraft is actually based at London Oxford Airport, or as Flight Simulator wants to call it, Oxford International, I do believe. I actually have bought London Oxford scenery from Orbex, although I do believe it's not Orbex that actually created it, it's a sub-company, and I've flown into it just to check that it obviously installed correctly into Flight Simulator once. But we will be flying at some point, very soon, this airplane to its home airbase at London Oxford. And the great thing about it is, because it is a pay-wear scenery, the buildings are all decorated and signed and look exactly like the buildings that are really at London Oxford, and there is a Leading Edge Aviation building. So I don't know whether that's going to be the next video. I want to do small hops to basically, you know, I'm still learning stuff in between the videos. I'm taking this aircraft down. Usually Waddington to Humberside is a good little flight for me. I've done Waddington to Duxford. That's another longer flight. But it is a interesting little airplane to take up, and there's a lot of stuff I still need to learn. I did try in the last offline video to actually do an ILS approach into Humberside on runway 21. I didn't get it set up completely correctly, but you know, it was on the ground, so it's something I've got to learn. Like I said, that's the great thing about, I was on about earlier about this G1000 system I have in front of me, the physical unit. I can actually press buttons and learn stuff as I'm going, and it's a lot easier to use than having a mouse and having to change stuff. So, we passed Lager, we're coming up the estuary now, so we're going to start our descent. As I said at the start of the video, we should be using vertical speed, which I don't need to use that, do I? I need to use this. But let's set our, so I want to come down to 4,000, let's make it down to 3,000, vertical speed. We'll set it down to about 900 feet. I don't know what the actual correct descent would be. Just cut off throttles a little bit here. We're looking at the speed tape here, currently sitting at about 135, 136 knots indicated. True airspeed is 148, but we have our yellow warning at 151, I do believe that is. We'll not go into the yellow, obviously. So, we shall have landing lights coming on. Fuel pumps will come on. Still using the de-icer, not de-icer, I always call this de-icer, PW, that's on, as we go into our descent. Just zoom that in for you. This is the thing that's really doing me in at the moment. In the real plane, the screen I'm looking at is on the right, so I want to look right with TrackIR. But the real screen I have in front of me, the only place I could really fit it with any level of comfort was on the left-hand side of my desk. So I'm physically looking left at the screen that's on the right in the aircraft. Sometimes it gets me a little bit confused. So let's start. We're still in heading mode. Let the aircraft do the work. We're going to continue down to about 22. I'll continue our descent. You can actually see the airfield up ahead. Passing 32, heading to 22, 1,000 feet to go. I do believe now is where I shall take over. So just checking the final checks that we've got. Fuel is set, pumps are set, lights are on. Okay, it's coming off autopilot. That little warning there, just to tell me I can't pull the throttles back any lower than that without the gear warning coming on. We'll turn off the flight director as well, we don't need that. Put the flaps down to approach. I'll start putting our speed. Hopefully you can see with the YouTube where it compresses the video. The airfield is ahead of us at 12 o'clock now. And this is where the bumpiness will start coming in. Gear coming down. Start throttling back up again because now we've got flaps and approach. The gear will create drag anyway. Gear down, 3 green. Start being a bit quiet, trying to concentrate. Flaps down to landing. Humberside, but we will need to backtrack back up the runway. .500 checks. Better landings. Always a surprise to me. said, we will need to backtrack, pick up the runway. Here at Humberside, there is no taxiways running parallel. The airport is at the end of the runway. Now you may have noticed on the approach, when we got close to the runway, you noticed the runway is actually runway 20, not 21. I have a book in front of me, which is a airport guide for the UK, VFR flights. I've had this book for years. In fact, if I remember where the start of the book is, I might be able to tell you what version it is. 2006. It gives me all the UK airports and main runways. Very important piece of kit if you're actually going to fly around the UK. And I really do need to pick up the new version because that book is saying runway 21 and the flight simulator says 20. So I would love to know which runway it actually is. Strobes coming off, taxi lights on, flaps retracting, and they are. And we're going to park it up on the grass. We are GA, essentially. I'm not going to pay attention to the little bloke waving his batons. In fact, we are going to pay attention to them. I can't actually see where the parking points are with the grass being the way it is. Actually, we've gone wrong. Let's just park it up in front of the fire building. Sorry, dude. Obviously, if we were using proper air traffic, we'd be talking to the ground and we would be obviously giving a parking spot. As soon as we don't have to worry about other aircraft. Here we'll do nicely. So, pitot heat off, fuel pumps off, taxi light off, position light is still on. I don't know if the props stop spinning in the real plane that quickly, but they certainly spin a little. Sorry, they stopped spinning very quickly in the Flightsim version. But turn off the avionics. That might cause the Flightsim to have a little hiccup. Position lights are off. And there we go. A nice little flight over to Humberside. I think we're going to fly back. I think, yeah, in the next video we'll probably fly back. Take a slightly different route. And like I said, this aircraft, as you can see, Leading Edge Aviation, that's the real aircraft. It's based at Oxford, London Oxford Airport. And we will be flying to the flight simulator version of London Oxford, because I have purchased London Oxford's accurate scenery. So this aircraft will be going home at some point. Hope you found this video informative. If you have any questions about the DA42 or my system, please feel free to ask. A lot of people now are starting to ask questions about my TrackIR, about how I do certain things. I'm not an accurate pilot by any sense of the imagination, but I am starting to pick up on the techniques and various bits of equipment you use for various different parts of the flight. So if you have any questions on that, please bang them below and I'll get round to answering them as soon as I can. I may answer them in a comment, or I may, if I think it's worth it, put a video up explaining and showing how it is that I do what I do. So yes, like I say, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you in another Flight Sim adventure very, very soon.